Hello everyone, this is TimTom72. This is my first video of this nature, so pardon me if it's a bit disorganized or whatever. Anyway, it has come to my attention that there's a large amount of misinformation that is coming out of the news media regarding firearms, especially when it comes to the topic of assault weapons. I'm a big firearms enthusiast, but I'm aware that not everyone shares the same fondness for firearms as I do. I simply wish to clear up some misconceptions I commonly hear in regards to firearms, again specifically assault weapons. I hope this will allow some people who haven't had much education or experience with firearms to make better decisions off of better information than what is being slung around in the media. I'm going to try and be as impartial with this as possible and just stick to facts. However, please excuse me if I do seem slightly biased. Figured I'd start you all off with some different kind of pistol and rifle cartridges. It seems that people label an assault rifle as something that shoots a very high-powered cartridge, when the AR-15 actually shoots a lower-powered cartridge. I'll start with the common .22 long rifle round. Bullets are measured in their caliber, which is the diameter of the projectile, and grains, which is the weight of the projectile. For example, the .22 is just over 0.2 of an inch in diameter, and on average the projectile weighs right around 40 grains. This round is extremely popular, from everything to small game hunting like squirrels and rabbits to target shooting. It's easily the most popular round in the world, as it should be. It gives cheap and easy practice for those who wish to instruct new shooters or hone their own skills. This round is shot out of pistols and rifles both, and like I said, it's extremely popular for these reasons. Next up, I've got some common pistol rounds. I won't go into much detail on them, but these are rounds that are used for both police and individuals in service handguns or personal protection handguns. They are as followed: 9mm, 40 Smith & Wesson. Don't have a whole bullet, I just have the casing for the famous 45 ACP. Now we compare these to the .223, which is the round fired by the AR-15, which the military classifies as a intermediate cartridge. It's .223 caliber, which means that the diameter is roughly the same as the .22 long I showed you earlier, at 0.2 of an inch. However, at 55 grains, it weighs slightly more than the .22. The obvious difference is the size of the propellant charge behind it, which is that right there. As a result, the .223 travels at about 3,000 feet per second, roughly 3 times faster than the .22. So it's still a considerable round, but it has been stated by the many media outlets that the AR-15 is not usable for any hunting purposes, and that is simply not true. Granted, the .223 is controversial in terms of its ability to humanely put down a deer. It is used for hunting small game such as coyote and ground squirrels all the time. It is allowed for deer hunting in some states. Now we've got the .308 here. A little size comparison. The .308 is roughly 0.3 of an inch in diameter, and the bullet weighs about 150 grains, which classifies it as a medium-powered rifle cartridge. It's extremely popular for hunters and target shooters alike. It is also used in rifles such as the AR-10, which is the AR-15's bigger brother, the FAL, which I'll show you in a moment, the M1A, and many other both bolt-action and manually operated and semi-automatic rifles. Should be noted that the .308 is the minimum powered cartridge for hunting elk in North America. Again, I'll show you these for comparison. The .308 is considerably larger than what is shot out of the AR-15. Yet the media commonly refers to it as a high-powered rifle round, and one outlet went as far as to say that the bullet actually explodes when it hits its target. Firearms are still basic physics here, people. That is simply not true. Now, what I see come up a lot is the question of why would anyone need to own an assault rifle? A lot of gun owners and Second Amendment supporters will jump to telling you that it's to defend ourselves against potential government tyranny. I feel this sidesteps the question and really turns off a lot of people who may be borderline on gun control issues. Even though it is the reason the amendment was written, I prefer to actually address the features that I find particularly useful in a military-style rifle that add to the safety and therefore necessity of the firearm. This is where I bring in my FAL rifle, which is considered an assault rifle under these weapons ban proposals. This rifle is awesome for deer hunting, hog hunting, and it performs very well in rifle competitions. So there's a lot of use that I get out of this. The first feature that I see come up a lot is the pistol grip, and outside of the way it looks, I'm really not sure why it's targeted so heavily by gun bans. We've got the pistol grip right here. The big advantages are that they allow anyone with a wrist injury and therefore limited use, limited mobility on their wrists to more comfortably grip the firearm. Adjustable stocks. I don't have an example of this at the moment, but it allows users of different height to adapt the rifle to the varying lengths in their arms, basically just to make it more comfortable. The flip side of this is it allows the rifle to be shortened by 4 to 5 inches. It can be argued that this makes the firearm more concealable, but you do still have 16 inches of barrel to work with for a minimum legal rifle. This means that even at fully collapsed, the shortest of these rifles is still going to be around 30 inches. Folding stocks do allow the rifle to be shortened more considerably, which makes them much more concealable. However, you still have the 16-inch barrel to work with, and at most you're going to get, shorten it down to just shy of 2 feet in length or more. Our next device is known by many names: flash suppressor, flash hider, muzzle compensator, muzzle brake, etc. The names can sometimes be misleading. This device dissipates the large flash produced by rifle fire. It doesn't really make it quiet or less visible or anything like that. It simply makes it less blinding for the operator. Now, some of them do allow for the attachment of an actual suppressor, which do make them quieter and do reduce muzzle flash. However, the noise level for a suppressed rifle are only reduced to a range that will not damage the operator's ear when hearing protection is not used. It should also be said that noise suppressors are regulated by the NFA and require extensive paperwork and a considerable background check in order to purchase and own. A muzzle brake or a compensator is generally used to either control or reduce recoil. It's pretty simple, really. It generally makes the rifle more pleasant to fire and can make it more accurate when firing multiple shots at a target. The banning of bayonet lugs are the feature you'll really see me scoff at. I'm sorry, but I have not heard of a single case where someone has been murdered with a bayonet attached to a rifle. I just really don't see the point in trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist with this one. Its only impact will be with those who choose to buy military-grade barrels or with those who want an accurate replica of a historic firearm. Some of you may ask, what's the big deal about military-grade barrels? Well, the military has quality standards, and since a rifle will produce 60 to 90,000 psi of pressure when fired, I think of it kind of like a car safety standards. It allows the buyer to know that they are buying a safe, quality part. Because if the barrel fails, that pressure is exploding in the operator's face, which is not something you want to have happen. Not only this, but military barrels tend to be designed to fire thousands of rounds before they wear out and require replacement. A dedicated target shooter tends to fire a lot of rounds in practice, as well as in competition, so a barrel that will last is very desirable to them. That seems to be most of the major cosmetic features. So I'll start into the most controversial one, the magazine capacity. But first we should go over detachable magazines versus internal magazines. The rifle here uses a detachable magazine. Now for the detachable magazine firearm, the capacity is less relevant since that's all it takes to reload it. So in the situation of a mass shooter, which is what we are trying to prevent, a shooter can simply change magazines and keep firing. An internal or a fixed magazine would mean the ammunition is loaded off of something like this clip here, or individually through the rifle's mechanism. This takes more skill and it takes longer than reloading with a detachable magazine. Now some of you might be asking, why don't we just ban detachable magazines? Well, for someone who is using a rifle to defend their homes, the use of a detachable magazine allows them to use the same strategy as I do. I don't like to leave my firearm with a bullet in the chamber. A firearm is a simple mechanical device and therefore susceptible to failure, and I prefer not to depend on a safety when I don't have to. So the detachable magazine means that I can leave my firearm with the magazine attached or detached and simply charge it if I need to defend myself. This simply is not the same option with a fixed magazine. It would likely take too much time to load if it is left unloaded, and leaving it loaded with the magazine full and the action back or anything like that would quickly accelerate wear on those springs. At the same time, if a firearm is left loaded with a round in the chamber, there's potential for an accidental discharge. The springs in the magazine can also wear out in a detachable magazine. However, if this is found to be a problem, the operator can simply and quickly switch to a different magazine if the current one is causing problems. And there is no reason to have the action locked open for storage. This gives the best odds that a firearm will function at its best in the situation that it is needed. It also prevents any sort of accident involving having the firearm loaded. Again, a firearm is a simple machine. It is still susceptible to springs becoming weak, parts breaking, or wearing out just like any other machine. It just so happens that there are situations where a person's survival depends entirely on whether or not that machine works. This is why I'm very thorough in the inspection and upkeep of my firearms. And that's pretty much the entire argument on magazines. Do we want to allow our citizens to have the capabilities of a detachable magazine? Do we want to allow our citizens to have the capabilities of a semi-automatic weapon? Because those are the functions that are actually going to make a difference in, how the firearm itself works. The rest is just cosmetics. Another media-related misconception is that with this type of firearm, the user can simply hold the trigger down or doesn't have to aim and can spray a crowd with bullets. This again is false information. Any firearm that can fire more than one round for each pull of the trigger is classified as a machine gun by the NFA, and they have already been made illegal. It is also not true that just anyone can convert these semi-automatic firearms into fully automatic machine guns, as many steps have been taken in the production of these firearms to ensure that this conversion is not an easy task. Doing this conversion is also very illegal. Also, these are still just rifles. They don't fire pellets or BBs or anything like that like a shotgun does, so the firearm still has to be aimed in order to hit the intended target. Now, it is possible to fire very quickly, but you are still limited to how fast you can pull the trigger. Well, I think this just about hits the major points behind these assault weapons, which brings me to my last point. The term assault is being used to describe cosmetic features. These are still semi-automatic firearms. They just look a little bit different. So I really don't like to use the term assault rifle, but it suits the purpose of this video. I really hope this helps some of you decide where you stand on the issue and gives you proper information to base that stance from. Hopefully I wasn't a little too one-sided, as I did try and just stick to the facts, as that was my original goal. If you like listening to what I have to say, be sure to click like, and if this helped you or you know anyone who is looking for this sort of toned explanation of features and functions of such firearms, be sure to share. Thank you and have a nice day.